Welcome back to the channel, everybody. This is Core Thoughts. I am your host, Jared Taylor, founder and CEO of Core Business Analytics. We are a market research and operations analysis company based in Livingston County in New York State. And we believe at Core that knowledge is core to freedom. And in that light, we're looking to teach business owners more about their business and about their industry than they ever thought possible. And one of the ways that we do that is through our research partnership with IBISWorld. IBISWorld is an incredible market research and industry reporting company that we're very lucky to be working with. And regardless of your industry, regardless of your business, there's a report that IBISWorld puts out for you. And I think that what better way to kind of introduce you to what's possible with IBISWorld than to look at the pizza restaurant industry, because who doesn't love pizza restaurants? And this report was actually updated as of January 2022. So the data that it contains is very new. And we think this is a great way to kind of jump into the possibilities of IBISWorld. And so straight away, you'll see that IBISWorld, it puts together the supply chain and it helps you visualize what's going on, where where pizza restaurants fit into the world of commerce. And you can see that pizza restaurants are directly related to their first tier suppliers and in turn the second tier suppliers. So, eggs and poultry industry has a direct correlation to the success of the pizza restaurant industry. So does beef and pork and soft drinks, dairy, for example. And what's nice about IBISWorld is that when they put this together in visual form, all these links are clickable. If you want to learn more, if you're a pizza restaurant owner and you want to learn what the current state of the eggs and poultry trade is in the US, you can click on that here. And, grocery wholesaling, for example, every restaurant I know, they have to deal with wholesalers. So to have more insight into the supply chain of your industry it provides invaluable information in terms of how you structure your business, in terms of how you strategize your operations. And I think that it's really nice that they start you out with this kind of visual look as to where the pizza restaurant lies in the overall economy. And so if you scroll through, it provides also related industries. So all these are clickable. These are all different industry reports that are available. And I think to any business owner, it provides just incredible amount of resources that you can use in how you manage your business. So we'll go ahead. These are international industries. We'll just kind of scroll through there. Major players in the pizza restaurant. There aren't really any major players. There are chains, like Papa John's and Domino's, but they don't have. That's a whole other industry report that we can get into at another time. I think it kind of relates to chain restaurants up here. So as of right now, these are just single location, mom and pop type pizza restaurants. And in that realm, there aren't any major players. So, the main activities of somebody in this industry, it breaks that out. So obviously you would expect, a number of these things for any pizza restaurant. And I think what this does is that it helps provide context to people that aren't in the pizza industry. So me, for example, I don't own a pizza restaurant, but as I sit down with clients and as I sit down with restaurant owners and pizza shop owners, this allows me to get onto their level and have an actual and objective conversation about their business. So we'll go ahead and we'll take a look at the industry at a glance. So we'll go ahead and click here. And again, this is just going to be kind of a high level summary. We're not going to get into all the nuts and bolts of each individual report. If you're a business owner and you'd like me to do that, leave me a comment, message me directly, get a hold of us, and we'll go through every single page and every single number with you. And that's what we love to do. And That's what this little Google sheet up here is. And, I'll show you, we'll give you a little teaser as to what that is. And I'll give you a little insight into how I use this information when I work with clients. So to get back to the report, the pizza restaurant industry in America is a $52 billion industry. And that's pretty sizable. That's pretty good. That's a nice amount of money. You'll see that the profit margin, according to IBISWorld, and it's running about 5% profit. So straight away, what I like to do when I discuss this sort of information with clients is that it helps you kind of compare your business. How does your business compare? Are you running a 5% profit margin? Are you running a 2% profit margin? Maybe it's 10%. Um, and I think regardless of what the number is, it helps you understand where your business is, what health your business is in. If you're running a 2% profit margin, then I think that'll kind of give you an idea that maybe there's room for improvement somewhere. And as we get into all of this, those areas of improvement are likely to show themselves, and then we can work on them together. If you're running a 10% profit margin, maybe that means that you're not investing as much money into your company as maybe you should. So it can be taken any sort of different way, but ultimately what it does is that it provides you with a comparative point where you can see how your business is doing relative to the industry averages. The report will show you how many businesses are in that industry, how many people are being employed in the industry, how many, what the wages are in your industry. And again, when you convert these into percentages, which I think at this point I'll just jump in and show you that the pizza industry, I've already plugged all these in, and I live in Google Sheets. I love spreadsheet work, and this is what I really, really like to do. So I've taken that information from the IBISWorld report and I've plugged it in here. And this is interesting because when you further break those numbers down, you can see that, on a per state basis, that means that there's 1,468 pizza restaurants in each state on average. Now, in New York, we have 57 counties. That means that there's 26 pizza businesses per county in New York State. And then on a per town basis, we have 1,530 towns. And, that's an estimate. It's not going to be exact, but approximately one pizza place per town in New York State. So straight away, if you're a pizza restaurant owner and you're in a town, say Livonia, for example, where we're based out of, we have multiple pizza restaurants in the same town. So straight away, you're already in a more competitive market, which is going to drive your strategy. It has to, because typically you wouldn't have a whole lot of competition, according to the numbers. So if you're in a market where you have a lot of competitors, you have to be very mindful of things like price and your labor rate and how much you're spending on rent and utilities. You have to be more mindful of these kinds of things. And these reports, they really help you hone in on that and get a better sense of what is it that I should be spending in those line items on a budget. And so when we further break this down, you'll see that wages as a percentage of industry revenue are approximately 31, round up to 32%. So straight away, if you calculate your wage rate and you see that you're above or below that, it's telling. There's actionable insight that you can take with that information. Depreciation, we won't really get into. Marketing. Marketing is a good one because now you're saying that industry-wide, the average marketing budget is factoring in 1.9% of revenue as a marketing expense. So on an annual basis, that breaks out to about $13,500. So if you're above or below that number and you think that business is good, or maybe it could be doing better, then you would look at this number as sort of a benchmark. Like, okay, do we spend that much money? If I'm significantly below that, where should I advertise to get me in line with industry averages? That these averages exist because businesses um, are successful because they've achieved these benchmarks. And so it just provides you another comparative point to see how you should be allocating resources within your budget. Rent is going to be different depending on what area you're in. If you're in New York City, this is probably going to be a little higher. If you're the only pizza place in the middle of the country somewhere, it's probably going to be significantly less. But again, it's just something to compare against. And so, you know, as you break these down and you compare them to your business, it's ideally helping you get a better sense of the overall health, the overall structure, the overall finance situation of your business. Um, and this industry report also will break down the products and services segmentation. So you'll see that for the pizza restaurant industry, takeout and delivery represents a massive percentage of what industry or of what the revenue is in the industry. So if you if we just scroll back up here and you take this average revenue per pizza restaurant in New York State, you'll see that they're making approximately $712,000. Now, when you compare that takeout and delivery industry wide accounts for approximately 60% of revenue, you'll see that for a pizza restaurant in New York State, a benchmark number is they should be earning about $425,000 from takeout and delivery of pizza. And it's critical to be able to make these comparisons, because how do you know if business, if you're covering all your bills and everything is going well, then that's great. But if there's room for improvement and you know that there's another level that you can achieve, why not, try and achieve that? So this is just a quick little snapshot. This is something that I do for all my clients, just to give them a better idea of, how much, all of these, how this breaks out on a monthly, weekly, et cetera basis. And, if you're open 40 hours a week, you have to be making approximately $600 an hour in revenue to achieve this annual revenue goal. And so it's just like when you further break it down, it helps you better understand your current operations and where you can improve. If that's where you need to. If you're right in line with all these numbers, then good for you. You are running an efficient operation that is straight in line with industry averages, and that's commendable. If you're not and you have any questions, by all means, reach out. Let's work together. So something else that I do, we'll go right to the competitive landscape, because I think that this is a further explanation of sort of what we were just getting into. And I think that ultimately it's what people what business owners really want to know, is the cost structure of what their business should be compared to, industry benchmarks. So again, we kind of have already touched on this, but I think to see it in this sort of form, really reinforces how useful these reports can be when it comes to running your business. So you can see that, industry wide, wages are accounting for approximately 32% of your revenue. Purchases. So in the pizza industry, it's going to be, your dairy, your cheese, your meats, your breads, all of the things, all your cost of goods, that's going to be accounted for here. So you can see straight away, if you're way over, you can see that maybe you have to kind of dial that back and get more in line with a 40% purchase benchmark. Profit again, depreciation of your equipment, marketing, is 1.9% of your budget. I know a lot of people, they tend to overspend in marketing, and then that cuts into some of these other areas of the budget. So, marketing is really not it shouldn't be a huge expense, for the most part. Your rent and utilities, and then other costs, which would be your insurance and, building repairs and things like that. So, it's like it's not the end all be all. It doesn't tell you everything that you need to know about your business. Again, it's establishing benchmarks that you can compare your business against and use that information to make more informed decisions as you manage your own business. And we won't get into all of these things just because there's so much information and I wouldn't want to bore you to death with, getting into all of the details, but we'll look at the products and markets, and then we'll get you on your way. So again, it brings us back to the supply chain, which is always helpful. If, further, you can download all this information when if you get one of these reports from us. If you're a numbers person, you like spreadsheets, you can download a lot of this information and manipulate it yourself. You can do a lot of your own analysis, and if you're not comfortable with that, again, that's what we can do at Core. So they explain the importance of takeout delivery. They explain how and why it works in the industry and how they arrived at the number that they've arrived at. Um, I think that this is all it's a really good read if you're in this industry. Um, I think that, right away, there's catering services and mobile outlets. So you have food trucks, for example. Like if you're a pizza restaurant, maybe, after reading all of this and you run your own numbers and you do some analysis and, we work together and maybe it makes sense you get a pizza truck. Why not? But then again, maybe not. And this will help you this will help you make those decisions. And I think that ultimately it's a good thing for every business. So, I think we'll kind of wrap that up there. And um, let's just look at a state report real fast so that you get an idea of, this is all US wide, but they also provide, state reports also. So that pizza report, that made me hungry. So let's try, no, maybe we're a little thirsty. Let's look at breweries in New York State. We'll see when this was last updated. February 2019. Okay, so this is lagging behind a little bit. I would, IBISWorld, they do a very good job of updating these, pretty regularly. So I would expect that this would probably, be updated with some more relevant information, probably this year, if I had to guess. But again, it runs you through the supply chain in New York. And, a lot of these things like wood pallets and skids, you wouldn't necessarily relate that to, affecting a brewery, the business of running a brewery. But if wood gets more expensive and all of your cases get delivered on pallets and skids, then your supply costs are going to definitely be more expensive. So again, these reports are all clickable. You can get into, you can look at them. It'll help you get a bigger picture idea of where your business fits into the greater economy. In New York, we have a couple of major players. Brooklyn Brewery, fantastic brewery, FYI. You do have some major players, so you can click on these and they'll give you a further breakdown of how they've become major players and what role they play in the New York economy. So let's just go ahead and take a look at the industry at a glance here. And while we wait, thank you very much for watching. I really do hope that you find this interesting, and any ways that we can improve this, by all means, leave comments. I'd like to make this as useful to you as possible. So if me just showing you this is not doing it for you and you'd like more interaction or you'd like to see more of this or less of this, then please let me know. Let's make this what it is that you want it to be, because this is all for you guys. Okay, so we'll see that it's a $1.6 billion industry in New York State. So that's not nostalgia. That's a lot of money. 6.5% profit margin. I guess this is saying that the total industry across the country is 4%. So in New York, it's more profitable. Let's see. So how does this break out? So product and service segmentation. So we have, the it calculates, it looks at sales. The report looks at sales, and we'll break out if you if you're a craft brewer, then you're really struggling to compete against these domestic premium brands, and even the domestic sub premium brands are more of like a direct competitor. So it's like you have to be mindful of how you market your business. If you're a craft brewer, be very mindful of how you're marketing it so that you can differentiate yourself from these other two categories. You don't really want to compete directly with them. You'd want to really establish your own lane. Maybe that's nothing new, but I think that it's important to mention anyway. Every business should go through the SWOT analysis, and you look at the strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats to your business. And if you haven't done this at the time that you started your business, then it's not too late. You really should, though. Every existing business should do this, and it will help you really structure your business in a way that highlights its strengths, kind of minimizes its weaknesses. It knows how to look for opportunities and capitalize on those, and to be risk averse to any threats to your particular business and your particular industry. So SWOT analysis is very critical. If you have any questions on that, by all means, reach out to us. We'll work together, and we can do that together. So let's just look at these cost structure benchmarks once again, for breweries in New York State. And let's see how it breaks out here. It looks like this one doesn't actually have like an infographic, doesn't really have a chart with it, but it's just kind of a reiteration of what we've already discussed under this industry at a glance. But you can see that all of this information is available to you. Um, you know, Again, we believe that knowledge is core to freedom, and we really want to take this information and help you run a better business. That's really the ultimate goal for what we do here at Core, and that's all we do. That's all we live for. And so, if you find any of this interesting and you'd like to learn more about your own industry, whichever it may be, there's an extremely good chance that we'll have your specific industry. And let's take a deeper look. And, I think that probably wrap that up for this video. Just a little introductory look into IBISWorld. If your people are very interested in learning a lot more, we'll get into the nuts and bolts of all these reports. We'll get into the executive summary, for example. We'll take a look at those on with a fine tooth comb, and we'll help you create more insight into your own business and help you run a more efficient operation. So again, I'm Jared. This is Core Thoughts. Thank you for tuning in, and stay tuned. We have a lot more in store for you. We're going to be getting into WordPress. We're going to take you through Google Drive. We're going to show you Google Ads. And that's just the beginning. So stay tuned. Those are all coming up. Thank you for watching. Subscribe. Stay tuned. Later.